Hello and welcome back. This is not a. Let me move this microphone back a little bit. This is not a great welcome back because after lots of trial and error, I finally got the Model Converter X to work, only to reveal to me a very boneheaded mistake. Two boneheaded mistakes. Mistake number one in Model Converter X, where we opened it up at the end of the last tutorial. This only applies if you're using my method, making the ground polygons, as you can see here. Um, let me see here. Go away. Yeah, if you will look here, I have my latitude and longitude in. When I pasted these straight over to Model Converter X, I forgot to put the negative in front of 95. So I kept converting it and nothing was happening. Couldn't figure it out. It was driving me nuts. And I was thinking maybe it's my textures, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But anyways, turns out it was actually that. So it worked. I got the this ground polygon here into the sim, and everything looked great. Problem was, it was off. It was offset. My center, even though I centered it up with the satellite imagery, like I did on the first method where you're just doing taxiways and runways, even though that I had it centered up, it still was off. And so I brought it back into the sim and I made this here. Here, let's just hide everything but this. So I made this here and I pasted it in and I said, okay, what's the deal? So then I brought over uh, my ground polygon and merged it with this, and then saw that my ground polygon was not as tall and not as wide as it should be. So basically it was scaled down, and I'll show you why this happens. If you look at this plane here, if we were to slice it up into 8 pieces by 4 pieces, which is what the ground polygon is in Photoshop, and this gives you our polygon. Okay, now if you open up Photoshop and watch this, and let's open, let's say yeah, let's open up the one we've been working on. It's new computer, sorry, I'm still learning where I put everything. Okay, this is the file we've been working on. As you can see here, it is sliced up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice this about the 8th one. It's only half of a 1000 by 24, 1024 by 1024 texture, which is what each one of these little squares are. So what happens is in the sim and in Gmax, when you create the entire plane, basically at the dimensions that Model Converter X tells you to do it at, 1925 482, like we did, like I showed you how to do in the previous videos, and you were to paste that over, well, it fills it basically from corner to corner, and you don't get that half polygon like you do in Photoshop. So as you can see, imagine this, everything is, instead of lining up, everything is shifted down and squished if you were to just straight out do it. So what it creates is a problem. It creates an issue because these little squares here are not 1024 by 1024 pixels. These are meters and pixels and meters and meters and pixels, and long story short, the scaling was off. My ground polygon was way too short and way too narrow. So to fix that, I had to go in, and what I do is I brought in my ground polygon here, and let me get rid of this. Get rid of these little lines so we don't need it anymore. Creates too many lines on the screen. And I created a couple of lines, by just drawing lines here, and crosshairs here and here. And I also had some here on the corners and on the bottom corners, and I just set this about negative zero point 0.1 below the ground so that my polygon would sit on top of it. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see me pointing at the screen. So I had to do a non-uniform scaling of my base polygon instead of it being 100% by 100%, as you can see here. And if you're doing the same airport as me, you're going to have to do this. 107 by 106.65 made it line up almost exactly. It's a little bit too wide, just by a tiny bit, but other than that, it's sitting right on target now. So now, good opportunity now, we can get rid of that, and we can also get rid of these lines that we drew, because we are now lined up. We don't need to recenter this, we need to leave it exactly where it's at, I think. I don't know, we'll see. So we're going to save as, and I'm going to just make this like version A, just in case we need to come back to the other one, because I saved it as well. I'm going to go ahead and export this one. We'll just put it to the desktop. KJDD ground. Save. Just like before, everything's the same. And we'll close it. Nope. Yeah. Okay. And this one uses these ground textures, which I think are going to be exactly the same. If they are, then I'll just rename the ones that I have. I renamed these on purpose just to do an experiment here. My external hard drive isn't waking up. There it goes. Hey, welcome back to the world. Yeah, these are exactly the same. So that's what I'll do. Go away, net. There's a bug in here. So we'll just add GND to all of these real quick. So let me do that. Alright, got all these named. I was actually in the wrong folder. I needed to be my 32-bit folder where I have my alpha textures already applied. Otherwise we'd have to do it all over again. I can get rid of all these because new keyboard too, by the way. Go away. And this model file I've already copied over, so I can get rid of that. This is the model file right here. So now, and I have my DDS files already done, I just renamed them all. So we'll open up Model ConverterX, drag it over, and we're going to do a ground polygon wizard. Come over here. Going to select our model, which is in the 32 folder. It will load it up. See? Nice and pretty like. I hate this new version. It's all jacked up. Oh yeah. Leave everything like it is. Defaulted, it's going to put the BGL file exactly wherever the model file is. That's fine, whatever. We don't have to do our layers because our ground files are our base layers. If you do seasonals, that's fine, but you also have to have seasonal textures. I mean, it'll be GND 1x1, and it'll be SU for, or I'm sorry, SP for spring. If you just leave it like that, it reads it as a summer texture. So you would have to change your season to summer to check it out. I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. If you didn't have your DDS files, you could click this convert textures and it would do it for you. And it would, but you'd have to flip all of these vertically. So it's easier just to make your own, just like I've already showed you. Altitude has to be at the altitude of your airport, which is obtained by, where are you at, buddy? It's over here, other monitor. Airport Design Editor is what I use to get the altitude. We did it for the flatten. Why don't you just be a pain in the butt? hold our mouse over right here, go to, hey, edit object, 132.283 meters, which is what everything uses to include Model ConverterX, by the way. So 132, you might want to write that down somewhere. 283, I do, it's on my other deal. As you ought to, make sure your negative is in there if you are on the US side of things. That's what I was forgetting. So, anyways, leave that alone if you're doing FSX. Both of these, leave them both checked. It'll slice it up for you. And I'm going to prevent autogen exclusion. This can cause a few shadow flickers, as Arno, who designed this program, explained in one of his tutorials, which is fine. I don't want it excluding my autogen. So I have it checked, FSX. You don't have to define your seasons, and hit convert. This will disappear, letting you know that it is done. Otherwise it'd pop up with an error, and it does sometimes. So we go back in our 32 folder, and there's our BGL. So we will go to where we have our scenery saved here. I'm going to drag that one over, move it. I'm going to copy it over. It's a bigger file because it is a, we're going to get rid of our old ground textures. I'm going to copy in our new ground textures. Copy those so you can go back to them back and forth. Alright, so now that's done, and I will go ahead and fire up the sim, and hopefully it'll be looking good. Otherwise we'll be coming back to fix something else, I'm sure. So be right back with you. Alright, as you can see, everything looks good. Now, good time I guess to explain to you. Got a little screen tearing because I'm 60 hertz frame. Good thing to explain. Time to explain that this basically shows you the drawback to using satellite, or I'm sorry, ground polygon overlays. Yes, the textures are much crisper than if you were to just be using the satellite image. You can see it's crisp all the way to the ground, right up until the point when you get on the ground. Guess really the only way to show you for sure is to remove it and then come back in and show you. So what I tend to do is I go in with an alpha channel, and if you can see just off the in the middle of the screen there, everywhere there's grass, I'll basically kind of add a like a grayish alpha, and then everywhere where there's pavement, I'll alpha that down to almost nothing, to where it's almost invisible, and so that the stuff underneath it can show through, which gives it some crispness and a little bit sharper texture, and it creates a pretty good effect. As you can see too, though, on the left side of the runway there should be approach lighting, and there's not, because when you add GMAX polygons, it when it lays on top of it, it gets rid of all default lighting. It hides it, and the only way to make it show through is to either create an alpha, like a circle in the grass, basically, where you want where you would want the thing to show through your basic the light itself, and that's a guessing game, trying to guess exactly where to create that alpha, or to use the first method, which is to just do GMAX polygons for just your pavement and things like that. Both have their commonalities, both have their drawbacks, both have their setbacks, both have their common pros and cons, really. So what I may go ahead and do with this project, the satellite image itself is a little blurry for me personally, because it's not exactly 100%. The ground textures look great right here, as far as the grass and everything. So I may add a little bit of alpha to get some to show through. But I may go ahead and, like I've done before, and just completely hide all the pavement that comes with uh, the ground polygon itself. Basically make it almost invisible to where the only thing you will see sticking through will be the uh, the AFCAD file, basically created by ADE, and which is what I've done before. So that's probably what we're going to end up doing. There is a tractor. Hey, drawback to living in the country: tractors drive by. It's a loud tractor too. Um, so you see, look right there. It didn't quite line up, so that means my scaling's off just a little bit, like I said before. So that's all right. Not too big a deal. We may go ahead and just erase this whole section. Actually, no, it is not off. I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, we'll get away from that. Don't look at that. That's terrible. um, so, I'm trying to decide where we're going to go from here, folks. Really, the best course of action here, I'm thinking, see, as you get up higher, you see how the textures get out of focus, and they're starting to load back in. I have a fairly fast computer now, so my textures load really fast, but others may not, including the people who may use your scenery. Look at the bottom, that little dirt road. You can see almost where the polygon recreated. You can see. Let me turn it to where it doesn't hide my mouse cursor here. Hope you can see this. This line right here. That's our ground polygon line. And the reason it looks a little bit darker is because it's sharper. See the difference? You can see the tracks through the grass, things like that. But it also, if there's any approach lighting here or alongside the runway, it completely annihilates it. It goes away. So you're just left with a trade-off. Either create your own lighting, which I don't know how to do. There's tons of tutorials on how to do it. I've just never tried to learn. Or do just the pavement. Or do what I'm probably going to do. I'm going to go through and add an alpha texture to all this. And basically make it like a dark gray, to where I kind of get the sharpness, where you can still kind of see the tracks and everything, but it allows the stuff underneath it to show through a lot better, which is probably what I'll end up doing. So really, the tutorial will be put on hold until I can kind of figure something out here, a happy medium, because this is where I got hung up before. I liked what I had, but I was at a standstill on what to do with the lighting. So anyways, I'm going to end this part right here. This is really just to show you, hey, I screwed up. Here's how to fix the screw up if you're following along with me. So I also noted that the version first time I had used my recording software since I put on the new computer, and I had forgot some settings. So you have to go back in, and when it rendered out the first half of this video where I'm showing you how to do everything, it's not a very good quality version of it. So I apologize for that. So this will be like nice and sharp, and the other one will be kind of blurry because it's going to get upsized to 1080p. Anyhow, hopefully I can make some sense of this the next time we come back in. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, like you're going to subscribe now. Anyways, I promise you I'll fix it. It'll look good, and I'll show you what I ended up going with. So thanks for watching, guys, and you can follow me on Twitter at Reverend Gary, or I'm sorry, at Gary and Emery. So I'll put that right down here as an overlay. Follow me at Twitter. I upload stuff all the time. You can follow me on my daily life, including if I do anything with computer builds and stuff like that, I put it on there. I do a lot. I talk a lot through there. So anyhow, and there's a picture of me sitting on the toilet. You don't see anything, but yeah, I'm sitting on the toilet. So hey, who doesn't want to see that? All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.